So, WARNO is a game made and published by Eugene Systems, a development studio most well known for Wargame, Wargame, and Wargame. Also Steel Division. Now I hear you asking, hey, what makes this one different from the other three? And I'll tell you. WARNO has two factions, NATO and Pact, or as I like to call them, Cringe and Based. Both factions bring different capabilities and strengths to the table. As NATO, you can bring together the power of multiple nations to the battlefield. With great air power and 50% of the world's defense budget, you can roll over pretty much anyone who stands in front of you. Communists, that is. With anything from an Abrams to an AMX. With Pact, you can dissolve and fail at the first hurdle 30 years later, because Ivan stole all the copper wiring from all of your tanks. Now you're probably wondering what all this equipment is and what the best piece for you is. You're probably also thinking what division you should play, and to that I say play armoured divisions, because all the others are trash and they make me want to cry. But also artillery, more importantly rocket artillery. Why spend the resources on a battery of self-propelled guns when one Mars platform gets the same job done? Multiply this by 3 and the results will speak for themselves. Or you can even get in close with a frankly insubordinate amount of mortars. Stones. In WARNO, you can exterminate the communist threat however you see fit, as long as it's done from kilometers away with heavy ordnance. Now, let's say, theoretically, there are civilians in the area, and command says that an obscene amount of rockets and shells aren't allowed to be used on so-called civilian population centres. But, since we have to follow the orders of those above us unwaveringly and without question, I suppose the other parts of warfare are applicable in this situation. And what better to take the ground from the enemy than what we've been using for hundreds of years? No, not those guys. Yes, tanks. Tanks can be used for anything from crushing people below you to blasting people around you. Amongst open ground, tanks rule, and they can send Ivan and his mates packing straight back to Moscow. But once in Moscow, slightly different story. These little inconvenient shits are infantry. They range from Jerry and his mates from the pub to Coccus Maximus infantrymen extraordinaire. In the open, they're about as useful as me in multiplayer battles. But in forests and urban environments, the only way you're getting rid of them is with infantry of your own. Or even heavier ordnance. But now that the infantry are out the way, the tanks can rule once they get... Oh yeah. Them. Helicopters are the bane of my existence, and we should make a howitzer round that automatically locks onto their family back home and aims directly for the crib. To deal with this irritant fuck, we will requisition the use of short-range AA systems, or as I like to call them, the greatest sound that will ever bless your ears. And with them out the way, the move to Moscow is clear. Now there is a few ways to deal with these pesky little fucks. Long-range AA or jets of our own. And as I have failed to place any jets within my deck whatsoever, because I'm not a cringe nene baby, we will have to settle with the latter.
Kampfweise. I
hope you take the Wright brothers with you. It's a little thing called combined arms warfare, which you'll need to remember if you want victory over the Reds, and the numerous orphanages and soup kitchens that they're keeping from you. The last unit you'll need to know about are command vehicles. These are used to take over the rubble and empty fields the commies have taken from you. Oh look, more of them. Well, no bother. Sector artillery will... Oh yeah, bullets. Yes, the insane communist wizards are once again trying to ruin our fun. By folding the universe around them and casting their starving, malnourished spells, they have forced a new evil onto the world. Logistics. In order to curb our fun and the flattening of residential areas, we now have to supply our guns with shells. This can be done with stationary FOBs, which are particularly vulnerable to enemy counter-battery, or trucks and helicopters. We'll choose the former and get some helicopters to deliver that sweet high explosive. Now we are sufficiently supplied and the Reds sufficiently shell-shocked that we can now use our own insane capitalist wizardry to get some jets of our own. The only side effect will be a war in the Middle East, but I'm sure that won't be bad for us down the line. Bippity boppity, I never signed the 2008 Convention on Cluster Munitions. Well, would you look at that. We're almost at Moscow. Good job. I promise you won't look back on horror and what you've done this day. Oh wait, what's that? Oh yeah. I forgot about them. Well, it's not like I don't have one of my own.
Winchester, damn it. The engine is overheating and so am I.
Yok bundan sonra size sigara filan. Uçuyor yıldızlara müptezel bayan.
Harmanım, baba nerede çarşafım? Gördüğüm bu paketler benim dermanım.